Thank you so much, Dorothy. I hope everyone can hear me well. It's time for the closing ceremony of today already. So in this session, we'll have three speakers. We will end the session with Maarten Van Aaslt, Director of the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center, for some final reflections, followed by Tim Sumner from the FCDO. He is already introduced in the sessions before today, and he will close the meeting with some final words. But first, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Regie Gibson, the award-winning literary performer. He has taken our discussions from SHEAR's finale event, and he gave poetic interpretations to reflect the discussions back to us here and now. Without further ado, Regie, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fleur. How's everybody doing? I hope you're well, and I hope you're well rested. I did spend the greater part of the night and part of this morning taking much of what your input was and finding a way to make it poetic. And I want to give a lot of thanks to both Pablo Suarez and also Fleur Manasso for their help this morning in helping to sculpt what you're going to hear right now. So thank you both for so much of that. So this is how we begin. A scientist does a tango with her graphs, striking an humanitarian worker by accident. Her drink spills all over the graph. They both laugh and nod their heads as around the scent a love affair begins. It began as a craving shared by many factions to avoid the delay of effective humanitarian actions. A craving for enhanced preparedness to stop extreme events from becoming disasters, to relieve stakeholders of so much struggle, strain, and stress, so they wouldn't have to guess at how they'd survive, could have the best chance at staying alive in times of a flood, drought, hurricane, or landslide. And this craving grew into a passion to enhance the advanced warning of disasters and build an evidence base for forecast-based financing in order to enhance anticipatory action. It soon became clear how much more research and collaboration across sectors was needed. And out of this need, the craving turned passion became a seed being watered, and it began to sprout, and SHEAR came about. So today we look back and we look forward. We look at reflections and discussions, sparkling moments and celebrations. We look at cartoons and have serious fun and participation in games that blow the mind. Yes, SHEAR, you leave behind a legacy that is unique and one of its kind in anticipating disasters while keeping complex realities in mind. Before you, SHEAR, only small finance was mobilized before disasters, but now, thanks to you, millions are being deployed faster and faster, and due to the sweat and labor of tireless forecasters, major institutions around the world now carry out what was your core, providing frameworks to inform central banks on risks, resilience, and more. Frameworks that make sure local stakeholders are enabled by bringing people at risk to the table as active participants to help design and implement strategies and help build their capacities to analyze the anatomies of ecological and humanitarian tragedies. SHEAR, you brought in and sponsored PhD students who made foundational contributions by bringing new blood into the collective with new thinking and different perspectives, new brilliant research and work, championing the application of science through games. PhD students who kept us moving in the right direction toward our objective of earlier disaster detection. Long-term monitoring of landslides movements, even beyond the timeline of the project, and through the impact and innovation grants, a scaling of low-cost sensors installed in the riverbed using local capacity, using local knowledge, reducing that threat. All this is possible because of you, SHEAR. SHEAR, you are collective thinking and active listening, safe spaces, and dedicated time for reflection. You are the power of caring combined with the rigor of science, technology, and humanity, a powerful alliance. You are millions reached before a flood by a simple action plan, a forecast made sense of. Together we can share. You are two important worlds colliding, sometimes fighting, even when we can't agree on the same terminology, because hidden politics makes that an impossibility, turning words into landmines buried all around, making meaning into a battlefield where no one yields. SHEAR, you made us challenge what we think we know, made us question the thinking of any status quo that believes that greed and unnecessary human deaths are not only expected, but acceptable. SHEAR, you are the idea of improving praxis, of making scientific knowledge usable. And when you were at your best, SHEAR, you were beautiful. As beautiful as adjusting one's heart allocation, becoming a daily part of our occupation. As beautiful as giant computer models gripping the extremes, as beautiful as team leaders taking time to stop and hear how to help ground their teams, as beautiful as that sheer, deep down satisfaction of making a mess of numbers, lines, colors, and graphs become a clear message with concrete actions, as beautiful as a gentle hand pulling you into a dance that will shape the future of the human race. And SHEAR, you are that and so much more we needed to research but didn't have time for, so many things we needed to study but we didn't think about before, like how our mission is to help the most at risk and vulnerable, but we never really define who they are. We can't just rely on quantitative data because even at its best, it can only account for so much. But what does our data cover? What does it not cover? What about the rest? SHEAR, you are so many things we need to better and more fully address, like how gender affects the way disasters impact women in a given society, like how different aspects of vulnerabilities affect members of the LGBTQ communities. SHEAR, you allowed us to more fully see, more fully imagine a world where knowing and doing the right thing are one, where we move even more quickly from knowledge to creation to effective interaction, to see more thoroughly where we made mistakes, then examine that failure to the letter so we can learn what went wrong and learn to be better at bringing beauty and connectedness out of the world's mayhem and mess. Imagine how much more we can accomplish if we continue bringing a human softness into the hard sciences. And to know that if we occasionally stripped the forecast bare, we'd see more than data hiding there. So, out of love and respect for you, SHEAR, we will jointly nurture and care for your little sister, Claire. And we will continue to work and do the work you allowed us to do, science for humanitarian emergencies and resilience. We are so thankful for all the kindness and brilliance. Thanks to you, now our collaboration knows no fear. Thanks to all of our friends, and once again, thank you, dear SHEAR. Thank you.
I think if we were real live, we would hear an amazing applause here. It leaves me speechless. Thank you very much, Regie. It's an absolute highlight of the day. I wouldn't want to be in the shoes of the next two speakers who will need to close the meeting off. But Maarten, please take the floor. Thank you.
Indeed. Wow. What a summary, but also what a 2 days. So I think, Regie, you made it hard for me, but I think you all made it hard. It's been amazing what we discussed the last 2 days, but it's also amazing what's happened in SHEAR. So I'll be brief in my final words. I think it's exciting to see that what was done in SHEAR was interesting, impactful in terms of the scientific accomplishments, but also impactful in the world, but also that it went hand in hand with a much bigger transition also in the humanitarian sector, and for that matter, also on the climate side, with, for instance, the risk-informed early action partnership already starting, relevant to loss and damage discussions that are taking off, being discussed this year between Glasgow and Sharm el-Sheikh. So I think we've done something that is connecting to a much wider world than is normal in any science program. So I think that's been visionary in the start, but also realized in practice. And how these worlds, the humanitarian world and the academic world, increasingly also the climate world, are speaking to each other matters. And we've done it. It's not the end. It's a continued journey for all of us. It's nice to hear of the sibling Claire already starting. I hope there will be many other siblings. I hope they'll be connected. And I hope you will all be part of that. So there is already a huge legacy. That legacy will live on, but there's thanks to make at the end to all of you, of course, everyone who made SHEAR what it is. I want to acknowledge also the people who started it. It was nice to see Nicola Ranger here in the events, and celebrate also the freshness of starting programs like this. And I wish that freshness to Claire starting up as well. It was also so wonderful to see the next generation of people that will take all of this forward, the students. It was wonderful to see you here. And I think we leave a legacy not just of knowledge and of practice that's already happening, but also people that are taking things forward. So thank you all for being here and sharing your experiences. Thank you, of course, to the organizing team of this event, to the speakers, to all participants these 2 days. This was a wonderful celebration to end on. But finally, of course, also to the donors that have made this possible. And as I said, not just with money, but also with a vision of how to do something like this. And I've seen already that other research agencies are drawing lessons from this, and I hope you'll be taking them forward as well. NERC and FCDO, this has been a unique, impactful endeavor. It's been a pleasure also working with you, Tim, you in particular as well. As I hand over to you, we're deeply grateful and looking forward to continued collaboration. Thank you all, and over to Tim.
Thank you, Maarten. And it's definitely a hard act to follow, both yourself and certainly Regie. That was amazing, Regie. And I think also perhaps inspired by, I think, your friend there, William Shakespeare, if I'm correct, but that is definitely a hard triumvirate to follow, you two and Maarten. But yeah, I won't, for the sake of time, I won't repeat all the thanks that Maarten's given. But really, definitely very sincere. Just want to echo the same thanks to all those who have worked so hard and diligently in SHEAR over many, many years, from the people who helped set it up through the oversight and management mechanisms, but of course, most fundamentally, all the scientists working with their stakeholders and communities. So for me, there is a legacy. We've been hearing about it over the last couple of days. It's really impressive legacy. It's been a privilege to participate in it, just be a part of that program. On one level, it feels like it's not giving it justice to call it a program. It seems more like a family, and a family that has real energy and is a family grows and carries on. And for me, that live legacy of SHEAR is something that I hope you can take forward in your respective endeavours, regardless of the future of what FCDO does or doesn't do. To build on that legacy, to take it out through your own initiatives, your own networks, and maintain that the SHEAR family, as I put it. And then on our side, absolutely, our way forward is through Claire, that we will carry on this agenda, this vital agenda, and also drawing on not just the previous SHEAR experience, but even the discussions we've heard the last couple of days. It's all very helpful to us as we think and plan our way forward. And so lastly, really, I in some ways just picking up on a couple of the young blood and the researchers in SHEAR who mentioned partnership and communication. And I would just add that comes after a user focus. So those three things: user focus, partnership, and then communication at all levels, and communicating that science where we know we've got to take and continue to generate high quality, robust science. But it's the communication with our practitioners for daily application in the real world that is the vital thing that we've got to carry on. So I wish you all huge success in carrying forward that agenda. I look forward to working with some of you in the future, I really hope. And with that, well, for my part, I close the meeting, but I guess I hand back to Fleur. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you for the nice words. Also, big thanks to Maarten. I think I will leave everyone after 2 full days of discussions. And of course, this has been an amazing 2 days. Thank you so much, everyone.